Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm finally here. It is Stone Gasman live from New York City. Great to be here tonight. Oh man, I am a total Child's Play fan, and it took me a long time to become a Child's Play fan. It took many years, to be honest. I saw all the movies out of order. I always saw them out of order and never one behind the other, and I would usually see them a couple here and there scattered over the years. It wasn't until Curse of Chucky I became a fan. In fact, one of the stars of Curse of Chucky, uh, uh, um, Danielle Basutti, who played Barb in Curse of Chucky, signed my Child's Play set. Which, look, I mean, she's not a huge name in the Child's Play franchise, but in Curse of Chucky, she has a very key role and an excellent role at that. And I can't wait to get to that movie. But tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to watch Child's Play from 1988, the original, directed by Tom Holland and directed by Tom Holland, and of course, Don Mancini's Chucky creation is introduced for audiences for the very first time. And right after that, we're going to watch Child's Play 2. So we're going to be here for about 3 hours. Every Saturday night throughout the rest of the month, I will be doing commentaries for the other Child's Play movies. So, mark your calendars if you really want to, but, next Saturday night at 10 p.m. right here, I shall be doing Child's Play 3 and Bride of Chucky. After that, Seed of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. And then finally on October 30th at 10 p.m., we'll be doing Cult of Chucky and the reboot, which came out in 2019 with the voice of Mark Hamill, which I'm eager to return to that one. I only saw it once. I'm not going to say what I thought of it right now. It's very mixed, but I do want to see it again, and I do want to give it another chance and look at it with fresh eyes a couple of years later. But like I said, for tonight, we're going to be doing Child's Play from 1988 and Child's Play 2. And let me introduce also some people in the chat. We have John Walker. How you doing tonight, sir? Enjoying the spooky season? Yep, indeed. Yeah, the spooky season is officially underway. You know what's funny is that, I mean, I'm going to be watching, of course, a lot more horror movies over the course of the next few weeks. The first night I came home, well, actually, yeah, it was last Saturday night. When I came home, I decided to kick off the month with John Carpenter's The Thing, which, as I tweeted, I think it's the zenith of all remakes, not just horror remakes, but all remakes. It's a model for others to follow. And here again, like the Child's Play franchise, it took many years for me to fully appreciate and love what Carpenter was doing, and just all the aspects about that film. It's pure brilliance. I love The Thing. But yes, we got Mr. Daniel Shine. How's it going, sir? Love you. Glad you're here. And glad you can join us in the chat for a bit. Absolutely. Borderline 11. I love both movies equally. Yeah, I got an interesting opinion on Child's Play 2. Maybe not so much interesting, but rather, let's just say it's not my favorite. I can't say it's my least favorite because I love all these films, believe it or not, in multiple ways. But I mean, it's incredible that this is my favorite horror franchise. See, that includes Friday the 13th and Psycho, and but yeah, this may be it. The Chucky series is definitely awesome. Many prefer to. I favor the original. I favor the original too. I mean, I have to go a little bit against the grain on that. Trust me, it's going to be great when we get to 2. But And the remake was fine. It felt like something completely different, which I guess was the point. Yes, absolutely, absolutely, Dan. Yeah, but here again, I'm very curious as to how that holds up 2 years later, and we haven't heard anything about a follow up for it. I mean, I'm surprised because it actually did approximately the same amount. Well, actually, in terms of inflation, it didn't do near as well. But here's the funny thing: Child's Play '88 and Child's Play 2019, they were both made for $10 million, and they both only grossed 45. I don't think that's ever happened before in box office history, where the first film and the last film both did the exact same amount of business. That's insane. That's insane. But anyway, I'm going to give everybody a minute, 30 seconds, a minute, I think would be adequate. I am currently paused at the MGM logo for Child's Play 1988. Got my volume low, got my beer ready. I'm drinking some Yingling tonight, which is my favorite beer of all time. The oldest American brewery. The oldest American brewery. It's awesome. Mm. Yeah. And I don't drink that much. It's very funny. I served in the Navy for eight fucking years, and I drank very, very little. The weird thing is that they kind of expected you to drink, and I was one of those. Was like, no, I am not. I'm not. I didn't come to these other countries to go out to a bar every night and get drunk off my ass. I came here to meet some people, check out the sites, go traveling by myself, go exploring, go spelunking. Fucking A. I mean, yeah. I mean, that was my mission when I was in the Navy and I went to other countries. I mean, I went to so many. I mean, Japan, England, Scotland. Yeah, oh God, you name it. Yeah, I actually drink very, very little. But tonight, I wanted to kick off this commentary series in style, and I can't think of anything more style than Yingling, and I am not sponsored by them. I did not take any paid promotion. You're not going to see a commercial on it. I just love their beer, and I've always loved their beer. It's my beer of choice. Mm. Especially, I mean, once you've been to college and like you have roommates that insist on buying Milwaukee's worst every freaking night for beer pong. Look, you need to bring some class in every once in a while. That's just me. All right, so I'll tell you what, I am paused at the MGM logo. I think we're pretty much all set to go. I don't want to waste too much time, but yes, Child's Play 1988. Okay. I will give everybody on the count of 5, and I will press play at the MGM logo. Counting down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play. I mean, it's a little shocking. I mean, because the majority of the films in the series are actually distributed by Universal, the majority of them. But MGM was both responsible for the original 1988 original and as well as the 2019 remake. And I remember seeing this MGM UA United Artists logo before all the James Bond films. I mean, oh, it brings back so many memories. And thankfully, United Artists is back. But I mean, in a much smaller capacity. But David Kirshner production. Yes, this came out in 1988, like I said, and did surprisingly well critically. I mean, Roger Ebert liked it, Leonard Maltin liked it. A lot of critics liked it, despite the fact that it had this mild controversy. I'm going to say mildly controversial element, which of course is the whole idea of a serial killer terrorizing a 6-year-old boy. It's tough stuff, and that's what I feel distinguishes the original from the later films, which got more goofy and silly, likably so. But in the original, I mean, the thing is that I love. I mean, I don't revel in it, of course, but at the same time, I do like it has that really darker element that it actually goes it goes for it in terms of terrorizing this perfectly innocent little boy. Uh, I mean, some scenes in the movie are tough to watch for that reason. So there was a mild backlash. I mean, I wouldn't say it was devastating. I mean, it certainly didn't hurt the box office, but I mean, there were parents that obviously got upset, and I mean, okay, he's about to enter a toy store, and the funny thing is that of course a lot of horror fans, like, I mean, we all see these movies when we're kids. Well, I don't remember the first time I saw this movie, in all honesty. I mean, here we have Chris Sarandon, who's very good, and the title, Child's Play. And look at all those boxes of good guy dolls. Yeah, a little. I mean, already this is fun. I mean, I don't know what it is. This is such a fun movie, and it manages to balance those dark elements and those lighter elements so well. It's really surprising what they pull off here. Now, Chris Sarandon, of course, I had seen before in movies like The Princess Bride. A lot of know him as Prince Humperdinck. But here's the thing. I think I saw before Child's Play A Dog Day Afternoon, the great Sidney Lumet film from 1975 about these two losers who rob a bank. Or attempt to rob a bank. And of course, they're surrounded by all the cops and everything. That stars Al Pacino. And he was nominated for an Academy Award. Chris Sarandon was nominated for an Academy Award playing an LGBTQ character. Superb performance. And he plays Al Pacino's lover, basically. I mean, and he's awesome. He's awesome. He comes in with this bathrobe, and Charles Durning, and the cops, they're all trying to interview him and everything. But anyway, I don't want to go too far off Child's Play. The Barbie and the rockers in the background, but I just wanted to throw that out there, that Chris Sarandon, he has a very impressive resume. Very impressive. And of course, here is, of course, the legendary Brad Dourif, who I probably screwed up that last name, so, and I do apologize for that. Sometimes I still have this issue with mispronouncing names. I should have double checked that before the commentary. Already I made a mistake I regret. But anyway, so yeah, story by Don Mancini. He collapses into all the good guy dolls. Tom Holland wrote the script along with John Lafia, who we will see again for Child's Play 2 here pretty soon. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Don Mancini said that he was inspired by not just the My Buddy craze, but also Cabbage Patch Kids. I mean, back then we had like Garbage Pail Kids and stuff like that. I mean, we had seriously dark stuff for kids. And here again, anybody in the chat that can help me out with, Don Mancini's inspirations for this, I would appreciate a reminder. Here again, I didn't throw adequate enough time for preparation for this, but I love these movies and I can probably talk about them all day, despite, and I got other commentaries I can prepare for at the same time. So I need another swing of my Yingling. So just enjoy this for a bit. Okay, in all these movies, we have to have the same voodoo speech. Now, admittedly, I mean, this is, I think in every single movie, remake, we have this voodoo speech, which, I don't know. To me, it's one of the silliest elements. I mean, depending upon how much of this you want to take seriously and all that, or maybe it's just because the way the words are spoken in the later films. I would like to know, believe me, if I could be in a theater in 1988, preferably in Chicago, and watch this film for the first time without any sequels, without any remakes, series, anything like that, I would want to know if people were laughing at the time, what their reaction to this was. I mean, I was there, but I was only 9 years old. And it's not like I was able to smuggle this into my house, without my parents knowing. I mean, I walked 10 miles to a place where I can buy Friday the 13th on VHS and that was one of the great purchases of my life. But at any rate, yeah. Now, in all these films, or at least the first three, I mean, I could be, I got to remember, there's a lot of like fall uh, Chucky promotion, or rather not Chucky, but rather good guy commercials and everything like that. A lot of advertisements for a good guy. I mean, we live in a universe where, of course, he comes off. I mean, he's wearing the same outfit. I mean, okay, he's obviously a good guy fan. And here again, I mean, back in the 80s, we had this equivalent called My Buddy, and this was kind of a takeoff on that. At least from a child's perspective, I think it's pretty obvious. I could be wrong. I mean, look, I can see a 7 or 8 year old watching this movie, and while possibly being traumatized by it, that they know where exactly they're getting this idea from. And we also have a child protagonist, so especially in a horror movie, that's that's quite. Uh, so yeah, there's Chucky. I want to play. Okay, I love. I mean, okay, even though we hear these lines maybe a few too many times throughout the series, I would make that argument. They're all fun. I mean, I love hearing Brad read those lines. I mean, that's one of the things I love this movie for. Is I love Brad in the Chucky role. I mean, his voice is perfect. He's appropriately creepy. You completely buy him as this, you know, serial killer without an ounce of humanity in him. And of course, his mission in this movie, in the first movie, is to use the voodoo to enter um, this kid. This is very cute. This is very, very cute stuff. He makes breakfast for his mom. You know, and look, I was just like him. I mean, always get too much of everything. Always too much of everything. This is something that kind of resonates with me. Of course, I would put too much butter on something, or put too much of this, or put too much of that. And would have my fair share of spills. I mean, and we're talking, 5, 6, that kind of thing. So I mean, I do identify with this kid so much already in the first like 10 minutes, and here we have Catherine Hicks, yeah, reacting to this giant blob of butter that just fell down, and Catherine, interestingly enough, right before this, had done Star Trek Six: The Voyage Home, where she played a Earth woman in the 20th century. Basically, the Enterprise, they have to deal with this probe that is looking for humpback whales in the world's oceans, and they have to travel back in time to get two humpback whales and bring them back to the 24th century to communicate with this probe. Catherine Hicks played a whale expert, and she was very cute, very funny. Uh, very, very much, like her character here. Just irresistible. Of course, what's different here is that she's a mother of a 6-year-old boy and not two humpback whales, as she likes to do. But and there's a cute little romance that goes on between her and Kirk, which is, here again, very, very cute. But I like her as the mother in this movie. I really do. I wish she had done more of the. I wish she had come back in some capacity, though. That's the thing, is that every time I see this movie, I got to realize, okay, I mean, after Catherine Hicks, when the credits start, that's the last we see of Catherine Hicks's character, and it's just kind of a shame. I mean, I'll confess it right now. The retro writing of Child's Play 2 in regards to her Sarandon characters, I'm just not a fan of it. I'm just not a fan of it. I mean, that's part of the reason why Child's Play 2 is a little bit lower in my ranking. But Anyway, let's go back to the chat. Just let's see. Ebert got the stick out of his ass for this one. Yeah, I mean, look, this was a rare moment where I just remember that video box where Chucky had that knife going up in the air, and on there was the Roger Ebert quote, "Chucky is one mean SOB." I mean, I will never forget that. I mean, of course, United Artists jumped at the chance to say, we got to use Ebert's quote on this fucker. We got to use it. We just have to use it. We have to. I mean, it's a great review. Go read it. Seriously. I mean, Ebert was a good writer. I know he hated horror. I know he was a very bad proponent for horror, but look, he still wrote some good stuff. And, I prefer him over Siskel just because he wrote one of my 3 favorite films of all time, which is Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, directed by Russ Meyer. Make that a must-see on your list if you haven't seen it yet. Just saying. Just saying. And here we have the lovely Dinah Manoff, who many people recognize her from Grease, where she played one of the Pink Ladies with Stockard Channing. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Grease movies, not because of the music necessarily. But I mean, the Grease movies are, very lightweight musicals with, the first one had John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. And I don't remember if Dinah Manoff was in the sequel. I don't think she was. I think there was only a few people that came back from Grease too, but Dinah wasn't one of them. She was more well known in the 80s, though, for Empty Nest, the sitcom Empty Nest. Yeah. I've always found her kind of attractive, too. It didn't get the Silent Night, Deadly Night heat. That is very true, Dan. Yeah, it didn't get that kind of hate. It wasn't, like I said, for a horror film, this was actually legitimately accepted by the critics. It's amazing. It is amazing. But here again, it came from a good director and a good writer. Good writing, good directing, good cast. It works. It definitely works. I'd like to see him use more voodoo. This can't be the only spell he knows. Yeah, I know. See, that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, is that all he knows? Is that all he learned before he died? Seriously. I mean, Curse of Chucky, they give him a little bit more of a backstory, which I really do like. But real shame Sarandon didn't get into more hardcore stuff, if you get my drift. Yes. Indeed. Charles Lee Ray isn't big on the research. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are at a movie with serial killer souls in a toy box. Right. Look, this is going to intimidate some people. This is going to intimidate parents, especially mothers. I mean, I don't agree with them. I think, it's ridiculous that, the complaints and all that. But look, I mean, it's another reason why it works as a horror movie in so many ways. And just, the argument, I think the big scare was that it was going to make kids violent. And here again, we're not going to go back to this age-old discussion. I mean, in the words of Joe Bob Briggs, hell, if violent murder movies made you violent, I would have committed 87 murders by now. But I love Joe Bob. Love Joe Bob. She has a solid convention options. Oh, she was Empty Nest. Yeah, I like that show. Welcome to the commentary, Cliff. Yeah, awesome. I remember Empty Nest. Yeah. Oh, believe me. I mean, if I was a guy in the 80s, I would totally go for Dinah Manoff. Oh, come on. I mean, the red Kurt, hair. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. Okay, now this is when the creep factor really sets in because, I mean, that opening sequence was exciting. This is where, oh no, it begins to sink on you. Oh God, this kid is in trouble. He's legitimately in serious, serious trouble because this guy, I mean, he has one mission. He has one goal to get into this kid's body or put his soul into this kid's body. And I love these scenes in all the movies where somebody picks him up and takes him around and just hits his head up against a door or something. I mean, you got to think that probably pisses him off. And that's why he gets so pissed. It goes even more nuts. It's like, Oh, you did not bang my head into that, into that. Oh, you're gonna get it good, man. You're gonna get it good. You fucked with the Chuck. Oh, that actually does look like good cake. Have some chocolate cake there. Uh, Now these effects for 1988 are amazing. Um, of course, I think most people, especially Chucky fans, are aware that the doll is a combination of animatronics and they did use a real. They did use a real, like a little person for some of the shots, which unfortunately are a bit too obvious. I mean, here again, I mean, there's not many of them. It's like looking at rear projection when people are driving in a car in the 1950s. I mean, it's noticeable, and unfortunately, it's one of the reasons why some of the later Chucky movies I prefer over the original, even though this is a perfectly winning film on its own that achieves everything it sets out to do, and inspires a franchise with 7 films and a television series. I mean, it did something right in so many ways. But I mean, this is all legitimately intense stuff because, oh my God, this kid is seriously believing that Chucky is talking to him. And of course, not a single adult believes him. Not one single adult believes him. Now, this is interesting because, of course, a lot of people's favorite Tom Holland film is, of course, Fright Night from 1985 with Roddy McDowall and, of course, Chris Sarandon, who's in the first Child's Play. However, my favorite movies that Tom Holland wrote, he did with director Richard Franklin in 1983, both for Universal Films. 1983 Psycho 2, which is hands down one of the best sequels out there. I mean, maybe the best horror sequel. It may be the best horror sequel. It's pretty awesome. I love Psycho 2, but they also collaborated on a Hitchcock film for young audiences called Cloak and Dagger with Henry Thomas from E.T. and Dabney Coleman from 9 to 5 and Tootsie, and War Games, and that's hands down one movie I saw so many times growing up. I mean, it's become such a personal favorite. I mean, and I still watch it. I mean, and according to Tom Holland himself, he actually did say on Twitter that was he considers his personal favorite script of all the ones he's written and of all the ones he's worked on. It is actually Cloak and Dagger. Check it out. Check it out. Okay, so here we have some point of view footage of Chucky, and okay, this all works. This all works very well. I mean, yeah, we get the quick shot, which could have been a little person in that one shot, sure, but it doesn't. It still works. It still works despite those elements. And here again, they were still experimenting with some of these things at the time. Yeah, Cliff, I like. Yeah, Psycho 2 is awesome. I like Psycho 4 as well. Yeah, he Henry Thomas, from E.T. He did Psycho. He did Psycho 4. Um, but I like the fact they put him in a movie called Fire in the Sky, which is about a UFO that abducts this guy for 5 days, and he gets probed and everything, and and Henry Thomas is one of the other guys that witnessed the event. That's a pretty nice contrast to E.T. So yeah, poor Dinah Manoff is going to meet her demise. Chucky's very first victim. Yeah. This movie is set in Chicago, by the way, which of course was the home turf of both Siskel and Ebert. So Well, and to be honest, Siskel did not like this. Roger Ebert did, but Siskel didn't. And in fact, Siskel got even more pissed off with Child's Play 2, where he just kept on complaining. Well, it's a kid being terrorized. Yeah, he's a parent. Okay, I can see where it's coming from, but shut up. But funnily enough, here's the great irony of ironies for those that don't know. Gene Siskel was probably the only critic in 1982 that gave The Thing a barely positive review. That's not a joke. Watch those old reviews on YouTube. They are fascinating. They are absolutely fascinating. Siskel and Ebert gave The Thing a thumbs up, and Ebert gave it a thumbs down. Sometimes you just never know. But Gene Siskel may have been the only one in 82 to give it a positive. That's insane. That's insane to think about, but it may be the truth. So here we have the check-in hall. Catherine Hicks, of course, is back working at I don't know does she work at Bloomingdale's or a Bloomingdale's type store. It's not really relevant, but it's amazing. Every time I look at films from the 1980s now, and I remember a time, wow, no cell phones. We still had phones on walls, and we still had, insane long distance fees. I mean, it was a completely different time. You could say, I mean, we can't say cell phones ruined movies, but it definitely, it kind of limited certain stories and plots which depended upon telephones. I mean, think about it. There was probably 1 billion scripts in 1995 that revolved around regular phones, and then cell phones hit it big and like, oh, all those scripts become obsolete. Hey, Jamie, how's it going? And Christian, what's up, guys? Glad you can join us. Okay, just to let you guys know, if you want to sink in, we are at we're approximately the 24-minute mark if you want to join in the movie. But Dinah Manoff just got pushed to her death by Chucky. Chucky's very, very first victim. Yeah, poor Dinah Manoff. She got greased. I will be getting up momentarily for another beer. I don't want to rush all of them. I think the last time I drank anything was like 3 or 4 months ago. Like I said, I drink very little, but tonight I felt the need to pick up a sixer. Catherine Hicks has arrived home. Of course, her friend is dead, and yeah. It's amazing. I grew up watching the same year the year before Child's Play came out in '87. We had the legendary show Unsolved Mysteries, hosted by Robert Stack. There were actually cases on that show where police actually suspected a kid to be a murderer. And that's the thing, is that of course nobody believes him that the doll is, possessed. Of course not. And that's why they come to the shallow thinking that, oh, okay, it's obvious. The kid pushed her out the window. Okay. I never would have bought that, but never would have bought that whatsoever. Yeah. This movie doesn't have a lot of I guess you could say dumb adult decisions. I mean, every time I watch this film, I don't really question, Sarandon's investigation so much as his little assumptions. It's, but it's completely understandable why they would consider the kid instead of the doll, at least at this moment, because of course, who's going to believe that a doll is possessed? But the interesting thing is, and I think this is a perfect time to talk about um, possession, dolls being possessed in movies and dummies being possessed in movies, because the most famous one, I believe, is way back in 1945. This British horror anthology called Dead of Night is remembered for Michael Redgrave and his malevolent dummy, who basically takes over the entire last 10 minutes of the movie and keeps the audience, paralyzed. Um, I don't think that's an exaggeration. It's actually considered one of the great horror films of the 40s and of certainly the classic era. And the irony is that it came from a studio that was renowned for its comedies, not horror films. In fact, there was a ban on horror films in the 40s due to World War II. So Dead of Night is a very unique film. Now, of course, there was also Magic with Anthony Hopkins. I've never seen it, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I've never seen Magic. And of course, we had a Twilight Zone episode. Of course, I guess the Annabelle movies do absolutely nothing for me. Yes, I'm well aware it's based on a real doll, which is a Raggedy Ann doll, which I probably would have preferred the Raggedy Ann doll over the over the top, like, oh, creepy girl doll that they use. But look, I have read about legitimate creepy doll stories, well, where they are actually possessed by something. They move by themselves. They do weird things by themselves. So this is not too much of a stretch from reality. I mean, if you do believe in possessed dolls, I will say that I did hear about one story about a doll named Harold, where supposedly if you think negative things about Harold, that he will essentially kill you. Why they haven't made a movie about Harold yet, I don't know. But here's the thing. I love the name Harold. I mean, virtually all my heroes, all my favorite people in the world are named Harold. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. I mean, it's one of the weirdest things in the world. That is not an exaggeration. And I'm not saying that to win Harold the doll's approval or anything. I'm just saying that, I will never think negative thoughts of him just because of his name. One aspect of this movie that should be brought up is that, obviously Chris Sarandon smokes. Very, very, still unfortunately at this time, tobacco was still very much a thing. I mean, I guess, you could look at it now as a character trait, but I mean, it's pretty, I mean, being from the 80s, we just don't see this type of cigarette smoking anymore, where I mean, it almost looks like the actor unfortunately got addicted during production. I mean, I hate to say that. I mean, it's just the way he smokes it. It seems a little unnatural, and yet at the same time, he likes it. I mean, I'm not assuming that I'm not assuming that of Chris Sarandon. I'm just assuming that of the character. I mean, but then again, look, it's like in Gremlins 2 with the character Marla. Remember the redhead that goes after Zach Galligan? She smoked, and she smoked literally in people's faces in the workspace. I mean, and Joe Dante, of course, mentions on the commentary, we don't have to rob her of this character trait. True, due to simply political correctness. We don't have to do that. I mean, it's not like I get triggered of people smoking cigarettes in movies, but but I mean, of course, we understand now that cigarettes are highly addictive and very, very bad, very disgusting for your health. But I smoked in the Navy. I'm guilty of it, I admit. But thankfully, I haven't had one in many, many, many years. course, back in the 50s, I mean, when they had ads that said, "Oh yeah, my doctor, he recommends Camel cigarettes." Yeah, yeah, Jamie, you're absolutely right. Everybody smoked back then. We didn't wear seatbelts or wear helmets to ride bikes. How did I exactly? Yes, 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 yes. That is all true. But the sad thing is that my father, granted, I mean, he smoked for most of his life. He smoked Carlton 120 menthols. Ugh. Uh, those were atrocious and unbearable. And yeah, he died, and he died at the age of 60 due to brain cancer. So look, I mean, smoking is no joke. I will end it there. I mean, the way they plotted this is, it's definitely way above average. I mean, it goes above the horror herd in many ways, just because, I mean, here again, you don't question the adults' assumptions, okay? But here again, like in Cloak and Dagger, Henry Thomas witnessed a murder. Not one adult believed him. Not one adult believed that he had witnessed a murder and that he was now carrying a video game called Cloak and Dagger with all these stolen, quote unquote, government plans. And in fact, what we see in the movie of a spy plane, nobody knew about that in 1984. So here again, Tom Holland knew a few things. He wrote some stuff that nobody in 1984 knew about. Nobody. Yeah, I really like Tom Holland as a writer, and I would like to get a copy of that Cloak and Dagger screenplay at the very, very least. But like I said, his most popular movies are Fright Night and Child's Play. Of course, he also wrote another interesting film from 1982, which I'm sure many of you are fans of. If you remember The Beast Within, which had some pretty awesome bladder effects, even though the story was very, very ugly and sick and kind of a swamp to swim through. Let's put it that way. Definitely a swamp to swim through. Very hard movie to watch, but here we go. Snow in Chicago. You know, even when I was young, I really questioned, like, this 6-year-old boy is by himself on a train. Look, I'm sure. Here again, like Jamie was saying, I mean, if you lived in the city, I mean, I guess there were 6 and 7-year-olds that went places on the train and unaccompanied. Or, I mean, granted, he's being accompanied by a doll possessed by a serial killer, but So I guess you could say, well, he does have an adult figure with him. But it's pretty. I mean, even here again, when I first saw this movie, I was like, really? And of course, he goes to a very rough area of Chicago. I honestly, I've only been to Chicago once, and that was for Navy boot camp. I haven't been back there since. I'd very much like to go back there sometime, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, these Chicago locations, though, they feel very, very real and very authentic. I mean, I think I mean, that looks like real snow. I wouldn't be surprised if it is real snow. The breath looks real. It doesn't look, yeah, I mean, this is snowy winter weather in Chicago, essentially. Uh, but I think it gives an appropriate chill factor to the movie. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, this film doesn't have a lot of comedy in it. I mean, it does have a few legitimate laughs here and there, but It never goes overboard with the humor. Never goes overboard with the humor. The horror comes first with this. I have the original Beast Within hardcover novel. Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't seen this Beast Within for a while. They put it out on one of those like MGM Midnight Movie double packs, and it came out with this 1974 film called The Bat People, which is the very first movie that Stan Lee Winston worked on. All you see is a bat hand and a mask at the end. That's it. It's terrible. Beast Within was more than watchable. It actually kept my attention, as opposed to Bat People, which was just. There's a reason why Mystery Science Theater 3000 picked up that movie. I mean, let's put it that way. Like, I remember when they're both in the hot tub. I mean, this couple on their honeymoon, and the doctor gets bitten by a bat in a fucking cave. But anyway, when he's in the hot tub with his wife, his real life wife in real life, he drinks from this drink. I don't know what he's drinking, but and he puts his eyes up like this. I mean, he looks like he's about to go in a bat state or whatever. And when he takes the drink, on the Science Theater commentary, they say, "Oh, Bailey's and pickle juice." And when his eyes go up, he says, "Oh, I'm having sex." Watch it with their commentary. It's pretty good. And if I was a kid, I would say, "Man, that's a big ass gun." I don't know anything about guns, by the way. I have no idea what kind of gun that is. All I know is that it looks big in front of the camera. Whether that was intentional or not, I don't know. But mm. Mm. Time to do another murder. I mean, every time I see this movie, I have to tell that kid, get away from the house. I mean, he barely makes it out almost. I mean, I can't play. It doesn't have a reaction shot. It doesn't, does it? I don't remember a reaction shot. No, there's no reaction shot. So we have no idea what his reaction was to that. Or was he far enough away? Yes, Christian. Yes, I am absolutely going to do a commentary on Seed of Chucky. I'm doing 2 Chucky movies every Saturday night for the rest of the month. So as I said in the beginning, tonight I'm doing Child's Play 1 and 2. Next Saturday night at 10 p.m., I'll be doing Child's Play 3 and Bride of Chucky. The third Saturday night, I'll be doing Seed of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. And then finally, for the last night, the 30th of October, I'll be doing Cult of Chucky and the Child's Play remake from 2019. And everybody, go to Christian Han Horror's channel for his very, very recent ranking of all the Child's Play movies. I hate to say it, I don't agree with it 100%, maybe about 64%. But the way he does his videos, and I love his man cave and everything. He's one of my favorite people on YouTube. So go check out his ranking. Go check out his ranking, or hell, I might get a link for it. But yeah, Christian, I will be doing Seed of Chucky on the third Saturday. And I'm looking forward to it because I actually like Seed of Chucky. Okay. I know if I'm going to say I like it better than Child's Play 2, everybody's going to hate me. But I won't say that, at least not yet. I can't say that. I just can't. It's completely understandable why so many people have Child's Play 2 as their number one, and Seed of Chucky tends to be at the bottom. It's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation movie. You know, it's always it's always at the very bottom. And look, if you watch it as a comedy and not as a horror film, it's fun. And I think there's enough laughs in it. And like I said, I like Don. Well, okay, I'm going to shut up. We'll wait till Seed of Chucky when we talk about all that. we'll make it for we'll wait until Seed of Chucky. Right now, we're watching the 1988 original. Yeah. Now this is probably the most famous scene in the movie. I mean, they showed it on the Siskel and Ebert show. I'm pretty certain that when people think of Child's Play, the original, they think of this scene. Now, as you can see, I mean, of course, Charles Lee Ray is fucking with the mother, with these typical good guy sayings or quotes, I guess you could say. He wants you for a best friend. I mean, I got to commend them for the artwork on these things. I do. I like how they mirror it with real life with the My Buddy doll. I like how it is like this weird mirror. It's like the batteries. There you go. That's what people remember from this movie. I bet there were plenty of gasps in the theater, batteries included. Yep. There were plenty of gasps in the theater, and of course, this is a moment where the mother has one up on this doll, so she knows that okay, there's no way in hell this doll could have talked without batteries. It's possessed by someone or something. It's very, very clear now, and anybody that would be in that situation, whether you were a skeptic or not, once you see those batteries fall to the floor, it's very, very obvious. Unless they, did they? I mean, I don't think they ever put extra batteries in there, but and yeah, and here Charles Lee Ray finally goes all out. I'm pretty sure Charles Lee Ray. Do you think you guys? Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think Charles Lee Ray, knew he didn't have batteries behind him? I mean, the lid looked a little bit ajar, so I'm assuming that he probably checked. Because I mean, think about it. I mean, if you were in that, I mean, of course he didn't put the batteries in. Of course he didn't. Yeah, but he's lucky that they didn't put the batteries in because would that would have given him a charge? You think? It's interesting if he did have the batteries. Okay, maybe I'm going crazy here. I don't know, but I'm going to need another beer here in a minute. Hey, welcome, Brian Trash. Yeah. Yep. Jamie, Christian, everyone. Yep. Everyone here is awesome. Yeah, I love the shot of Chucky. I love that. That's one of my favorite shots of Chucky right there. Charles Lee Ray, he's tempted. He's not going to go for it. And here we go. She sets she puts a fire in the fireplace and is like, hey, if you don't talk, I'm going to throw you in. And that's when he goes all out. I love it. Yeah. Now, see, okay, look, if you were 6 or 7 kid, this would be some pretty scary shit, okay? As an adult, I just love I just love how the doll, yeah, I mean, oh, this is great. This is just great stuff. I mean, just bravo to all the people that handled Chucky. I mean, Kevin Yeager and his team. I mean, they had one job: bring this doll to life and make him scary. And well, two, okay, and they 100% succeeded. 100% succeeded. I mean, and here again, I love Ed Gale. You know, he plays the he's the little person used for a couple of the shots because look, he was in the Howard the Duck suit. He's awesome. Okay, I love Ed Gale to death. I just think I'm glad in the later movies they didn't go back to that. Even though, look, I'm all about giving little people work. They deserve work, and they deserve it. But you know, I don't know. It just doesn't have that same effect. It just doesn't have that same effect as the animatronics. I remember Midas Tire very well. All right. I will be right back. I will be right back, everyone. To everybody in the chat, oh yeah. America's oldest brewery, 1829. It's awesome. Pretty much the only American beer I will ever drink. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're looking for the homeless man that sold her the Chucky doll. Hmm. Uh, I would be interested to hear what those who live in Chicago what they think of this movie because it's. See, the funny thing is, I don't think of Chicago when I think of Child's Play. But here again, I mean, I think the setting for this first movie is ideal as we go into these rough neighborhoods. Beer run. Yeah, I do. I do live in New York City. Yep, yep, yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, once again, thank you everybody in the chat for joining me tonight as we watch what I believe is the first film in my absolute favorite horror franchise. I mean, here again, I adore Psycho, I adore Evil Dead, I adore Friday the 13th. Halloween, not so much. Nightmare, I respect it, but I have no comment on it. And I have nothing to say about Leprechaun or Hellraiser. Let's put it that way. But Chucky, for some reason, is number one for me. I mean, it's really weird to say that because here again, I was a fan of those other franchises long before Child's Play. Long before Child's Play. And here again, I think one of the things that distinguishes this first film is, of course, the performances by Chris Sarandon and Catherine Hicks. And I think a lot of because okay, I'm glad that there wasn't like a relationship developing. I mean, come on. I mean, there's there's some serious stakes here. We're talking about a possessed dog going after a kid, and a kid being thought of as a murder suspect. So look, I mean, there's no time for romance here. No time for love, Dr. Jones, as they would say. But of course, I here again too. If Child's Play 2 had given us at least something that would have said, okay, yeah, they ended up a couple, I would have been happy about that. Hell, why can't we have a Child's Play 2 where they could have ended up together and all three of them ended up together? and then Child's Play 2, Chucky can come and kill Chris Sarandon, or maybe both of them, and then shit gets real. That's how they should have opened Child's Play 2. I just fixed Child's Play 2 for me. that would have been a great way, I think, to open up the sequel. Although these characters are also a bit too likable, so the tension between these two characters in terms of, she absolutely has all the reasons in the world to doing what she's doing. I mean, you don't question her whatsoever, and yet Chris Sarandon has to play detective, and let her know, hey, you can't take everything in your own hands. But you completely understand where she's coming from as a mother. Completely understand. Yeah, I mean, these two actors are very, very good, and they really handle these scenes so well, so well. I liked them both in previous movies before I saw Child's Play. So, look, I was already a kind of a fan of both of them. Yes, I did actually have The Princess Bride and Star Trek 4 both recorded on VHS. So, I mean, I'm well aware of who they are. When I first saw Child's Play, I was thinking, yeah, they were really good together, really good together. Here again, they don't exhibit chemistry so much as just they clicked together. They clicked together as the leads. You understand their motivations, you understand their goals, you share their emotions. Okay, now here we have a pretty awesome sequence where, of course, those things will kill you if Chucky doesn't first. This is awesome. I need to put up the subtitles, though. I mean, okay, that's one thing I wish I would have done before I started this, because I mean, Brad's dialogue is just, it's one of the absolute gems of these scripts. Well, I mean, that's the thing. They are the highlights in many ways. They are the highlights. Yeah. And shoved the cigarette lighter in his face. Okay, no, so obviously it's pretty established that Chucky can actually feel pain, that he can actually, I mean, in that sense, I mean, all you got to do is destroy the doll, essentially. And, I got to admit, I've seen this movie when, there have been a couple times where I've seen this movie and I think to myself, okay, how far can you stretch this? That, it's literally a 3 foot or it's a doll. It's not very big. It's, I mean, it's a toddler size. And that it's actually has a hand up on these adults in trying to kill them. And look, hey, yeah, just put your hand on the gas there, like let them drive into something. This is all just great stuff. Great old fashioned pyrotechnics and everything. And the car goes upside down. I think that Okay, that street was filmed at earlier. Catherine Hicks was walking on that street, ironically enough. Hey, I mean, you thought, well, this is a good enough location. We can shoot. They probably shoot several scenes at that street. Oh yeah, this is great stuff. Oh, okay, okay, okay. See, that's the thing. I mean, I think Charles Lee Ray knows that. I mean, look, he could be overpowered at any point, you know, and he's like, oh shit, a gun. Very well shot by, yeah. Yeah, I like how his head pokes out from behind there after he grabs with the knife. Boom! it's, it's it's so good. It's just too good. Uh, so Chris Sarandon, the detective, gets to live another day, thankfully, and you know, uh, the source of the voodoo. Interesting painting, to say the least. But it adds to the atmosphere, so and it adds to the story, so I'm okay with it. Maybe a little over the top, maybe. I don't know. Mm. Oh, thank you, mighty Damballa, for life after death. Yes, indeed. Yeah, playing around with voodoo. But here I got a question. So I mean, so he only learns those few words that he says every time he attempts to transfer into a body. I mean he just says the same words over and over again, which here again, I mean he does it in every movie and it's fun for that reason. His nickname is Chucky. Spent a lot of time with this man. Can you imagine people back then, people that were actually called Chucky? Uh, it'd be like this movie comes like, oh man, they ruined my name. Although I'm sure they got a good guy dolls gag gift somewhere along the way. And here again, the effects take center stage in this scene. I mean, wow, very very impressive. By 1988 standards, this is seriously impressive stuff. And thankfully, they remembered the continuity of the cigarette lighter in his face. One thing that is cool about Child's Play 2, and when we'll see it, is how Chucky is actually made. Um, in this movie, we don't see that. The more time you spend in the body, the more human you'll become. Yeah. So, yeah, man, you don't fix this, man. You're dead. That's exactly what he's going to do. I mean, here again, I find voodoo far fetched. That's just me. You know, I Yeah, okay, it's funny I was talking about Harold the doll earlier, I'm inclined to believe that yes, it is possible for a doll to be possessed, but voodoo I've never really bought. Or it just doesn't work for me as a theme in a movie. I mean, I keep thinking of Live and Let Die, and when they bring out the rubber snake, which they use to bite a girl to sacrifice her to whatever. It just but in this film, it's not. The voodoo is not presented as silly. It's look, you need some kind of reasoning behind um what brought his soul into a body. I mean, it's like, okay, voodoo, that's a good enough excuse. It's a good enough excuse for this to move forward. But it's funny that the voodoo is only really explored in this original movie. And of course the knife that was prevalent on all the VHS covers. Oh. But one thing I got to mention also is that I just love Chucky's outfit, and I just love the fact that the serial killer has to wear this good guy outfit throughout the movie. It's like it's not like what is he gonna do? I mean, what is he gonna? He can't really change. He doesn't really have to, but like I gotta wear these kids' clothes forever. Like, yeah, kind of. Why do all the guns look really big in this movie? That's something I don't get, but yeah. I mean, here again, as a kid, when you watch something like this, everything is kind of enhanced and brought to a level that you don't know if you can actually deal with psychologically. And here again, I probably saw this when I was 13 or 14. I mean, and even then, it was also on television. So unfortunately, it was sanitized to a certain degree. I mean, they took out the language. They didn't, and took out the most of ickiest of scenes probably. Um, okay, now that was Ed Gale. Okay, that's pretty obvious that was a real person and not an animatronic. I mean, it doesn't ruin the movie. It doesn't. I mean, it's not a fatal flaw. I mean, but here again, it's kind of obvious. It's just a little too obvious. That's all I'm saying. I mean, that's the most minor of complaints I can make about this movie. Because look, Ed Gale is the man. I mean, he played Howard the Duck, for God's sakes. I can't dump on Ed Gale for any reason whatsoever. I'm just saying that and one that's coming up, which here again is probably the most obvious use. But is it really love playing on the radio? How convenient. The keys right there on the desk. Of course, you would have thought he would have had it in his pocket or at the very least inside the desk, but okay. Yeah, this is all Ed Gale. I mean, here again, I mean, just the idea of a doll hovering a knife over a 6-year-old kid, that's a disturbing image. And look, I can even understand parents finding that a disturbing image, but can't win them all. Just can't win them all. Yeah. Hope everybody out in the chat is doing well. See, okay, let me do a timestamp real quick. Let me do a timestamp. 106. 1 hour and 6 minutes, and we have approximately 21 minutes for the first movie left. And that's what I like about these movies also, is that they're relatively short. I mean, the first Child's Play is only 87 minutes, and, well, Child's Play 2 is actually only 84. I'm looking forward to getting to Child's Play 2. Looking forward to it. Even though this original is so, oh, it's too good. Just too good. Ah! Oh God, those glasses. I mean, those are hideous. I mean, there's not a lot in this film that dates it with the 80s time period. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff. Maybe a song here and there, and maybe a piece of clothing here and there. But no, I mean, you know, if I'd never seen this movie and I came upon it one day, I mean, not knowing what the hell it is, I mean, you know, I wouldn't assume this was 88. I mean, I would probably assume this was at least, you know, maybe the early 2000s. Okay, now, okay, that's the shot of Ed Gale that has always kind of bothered me. It just, it's a little too obvious. But anyway, I'm not going to complain anymore about that. Just a tad too obvious. Oh, this is an awesome death. See, that's how, yeah, that's a pretty clever death right there. Yeah. Chris Sarandon and Catherine Hicks are now officially pretty much a team working together. And, you know, electric shock machine. Yep. And then he escaped. Yeah. Okay. Really? Yeah. The 6-year-old kid. Yeah. Chucky. You seen Chucky anywhere? Who's Chucky? But I mean, tell me, guys, be honest with me. Does Annabelle really scare you? I mean, at least the Annabelle that they use in those movies. I mean, does that doll really creep you out in any way, shape, or form? I mean, look. I mean, there are a few stories I've read where I'm inclined to believe that, you know, there is possession of this doll. I mean, I talked about Harold the doll earlier. This is almost like a tribute to him. Oh, that was the rope. Okay, now this is probably the funniest moment in the movie, in a film that has very little comedy, but it's, you know, the comedy is jet black, and I love it. I was like, yeah, ugly doll. I'm glad we don't even see his lips move on that. So it's like, fuck you. And we are officially entering the third act of the movie, which is back where, well, not back where we started from, which would have been the toy store, but back to the apartment, which is where pretty much the entire third act takes place. And you know, they basically have to combat this doll once and for all. Which, here again, on paper, it sounds a little silly. Like, oh, really? I mean, these adults are actually at the mercy of this doll. I mean, admittedly, I mean, you know, we're going to see it in a minute, but you know, the scene where when Chucky comes out and takes down Chris Sarandon. I mean, a little bit. I mean, a little bit of a suspension of disbelief is required, but you know, it doesn't ruin the experience in any way. It just, you know, maybe another pass at this. That is a cool ass knife, though. That is a really cool ass knife. This is Ed Gale again. Not as obvious as before, but yeah, it is Ed. And get out that slugger. Oh, Jamie. Oh, you hate the Annabelle movie. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's funny. I just saw for the first time, I just saw David F. Sandberg's Lights Out, and I really, really enjoyed Lights Out. But I'm not compelled to see his Annabelle movie even after seeing Lights Out. Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm with you, Jamie. That doll does nothing for me. Nothing for me. I mean, you know, I mean, Chucky and the dummy from Dead of Night. Those are the dolls that will always get to me. With all due respect, Harold. And here we start. Here's the voodoo again. The subtitles say chanting in ancient language. Okay, okay, okay. That's good. That's enough. This is the shot they used for the poster with Chucky's eyes over the building. Uh, you know, give a little bit of glimpse of the killer, but not too much. Not too much. Chris Sarandon on his way on the rescue continues to chanting in ancient language. I guess they didn't want to bother actually putting in the subtitles of what he's actually saying. It's like, yeah, okay, this doesn't matter. Just say it's an ancient language, whatever. Once again, excellent, excellent special effects. And a lot of critics took note of that as well. A lot of them did. Ooh, damn. Boing. Yeah, okay. Maybe this is what scene I was thinking of. Like, I mean, one slick of the knife and he's down, and I guess. Yeah, Chris versus Chucky. Who do you think is going to be taken down? But Chucky has a huge advantage in terms of his size because yeah, I mean he could be hiding anywhere, and this is not a small apartment. I mean, this apartment does have an interesting geography, which I think complements this third act very, very well. Yes, yes, yes. He has to bend down with that knife wound on his leg. Yeah. Okay, fine. Oh. And the Chicago Cubs fans go wild. Boom! Yes! What's wrong? Gun jammed? Oh shit. Yeah, very very effective on a horror scale. Very very effective. Oh no! Finally he's going to meet fire. Finally he's going to meet fire. Shit, yes. Yes. Get it? Get it? Get the matches. Yes. Oh shit. Uh, Here again, it would have been interesting to see this in like a 1988 like sneak preview. Really see the audience's reaction to this for the first time. Must have been amazing. I love this where his face brightens up. He's like, no, we're friends to the end. Don't do it. This is the end, friend. Yeah, I like it how they actually have Andy do the honors of burning Chucky instead of the mother. I love that. I love that about this. Okay, now see, Chucky by all accounts should be toasted and done, literally at this point. I mean, they really stretched this out. They really stretched the idea out that he could not only survive this burning, although, look, I have to say at this point, what we are about to see, this is the one bit in this movie which genuinely terrified me when I first saw it, was the image of burned Chucky raising his knife over Andy. When I first saw this movie, that was the moment. That was the moment that indeed scared the shit out of me. and and ultimately made me like and respect the movie on a very high level. That it actually succeeded in genuinely terrifying me, even if it was only for one moment. I mean, it's very hard to do. Very hard to do with me. Yeah, this right here. All this right here was like, oh, fuck. Hello, Andy. Now I have to get revenge for you burning me. Oh, yeah, that is a very, very hideous image. But, oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah, kudos to everybody that worked on Chucky. You guys did such an awesome job in all of these movies. I mean, even you seed of Chucky haters out there. Look, the effects in these movies are all amazing, despite the fact that they all had different budgets. I believe Child's Play 2, which we're going to play here in a minute, I believe that has the biggest budget of all of them. Oh, shit. I mean, granted, here again, that's got to be the sharpest knife in the world, and Chucky has to have probably, superhuman, super doll strength or whatever to do that, especially after being burned to a crisp. I mean, doesn't he feel any pain right now? I mean, are we to believe that what? I mean, if he has nerves, are they all fried at this point? Seriously. I mean, here again, it does stretch out this yarn a little too far. Just maybe a tad too far. But look, it's in the service of an awesome movie. I can't complain. This is a pretty awesome. Just shoots every part of his body off just to make fucking sure. It's like it reminds me of the in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It reminds me of the Black Knight. I move for no man. It's just a flesh wound. And I never forgot the very final image of Chucky, which shows him, not only burned to a crisp, but after he's had his final chance at killing, at least in this movie. What? Why does this cop look? He feels like somebody that watches Starsky and Hutch on a regular basis. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Multiple stab wounds. The kid was right. The doll's alive. Almost got the three of us. Don't touch it. don't touch any of it. Just leave it alone. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Chucky burned to a crisp. Yep, definitely. Ah. Anybody in the chat who's still here, please feel free to comment on Child's Play, the original. Any opinions you have? Any let me know what you think of 1988 Child's Play before it ends, because I mean, I still rank it very high on my list. I mean, maybe number 2, number 3. I'm not sure how I would rank them yet. In all honesty, I probably should do that at the when we finish the remake on October 30th. But this is pretty high up there. Very, very little to complain about. Just very little. It's still very, very effective after 3+ decades. Yeah, that image right there of the head separated from the body. I never ever forgot that. Never ever forgot that image. Even here again, even if this is not my favorite horror film, or oh god, oh man, shoot him in the heart. Okay. So in this movie, we have to shoot him in the heart to kill Chucky. But of course, this is only the first movie. We have we have 7 others to look forward to. And Chucky's going to keep coming back. Spoiler. Okay. I mean, just saying. And new batteries will probably not do anything for him. Who's going to believe me? Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. When we get into Child's Play 2, we'll talk about the retconning and everything. But I mean, here again, I mean, very, very solid horror film. One of Tom Holland's best. Great by all, especially Adam Barclay here. Yeah, I mean, he's a real natural kid. Yeah, he's a real natural kid. I mean, oh, this is wonderful. You know, this final shot where, you know, finally, is he dead? Is he not dead? And we freeze frame on him in the door, which is probably Chucky's POV, to be all honesty. Like, we're going to see each other again. Trust me, we're going to see each other again. But yeah, that's the original Child's Play from 1988. Yeah. Any final thoughts before I change the DVD? Or I got the Blu-ray set, but any thoughts on Child's Play 1988 from people in the chat? Hey, Lost River Drive-In. Hey, what's up, man? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Like I said, while the credits are rolling here for the first Child's Play, anybody have any comments that would like to share on this movie? Because, you know, here again, I still think it holds up and holds up very well. Not my number 1 film of the franchise. I mean, we'll get to that one. We'll get to that one. But but yeah, when this was released by United Artists in 1988, did very well. You know, $45 million on a $10 million price tag. David Kirshner, Chucky doll, designed and executed by Kevin Yager. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I would have probably gone all out like The Fly, where, you know, Chucky, the very first credit would be Chucky, created by Kevin Yager. That would have been awesome. Might have even gotten him an Oscar. I mean, who knows? But at any rate, yeah. Love Child's Play, absolutely love it. But Child's Play 2 is king, yes. And we're going to start Child's Play 2 fairly quickly here. I just need to get a refill, and we'll pop in the new Blu-ray. We are going to do approximately a 3-minute intermission here. I will be right back. I just need to get in another beer, but I will be right back and pop in my Blu-ray for Child's Play 2, and we will get moving on that one. So I will be right back, everybody. Filmed on location in Chicago, Illinois, and at Chicago Studio City and at the Culver Studios. Visual effects by Apogee Incorporated. Now, I remember Apogee only because of the video games I used to play way back in the day for those. But anyway, I'm going to be changing discs right now for Child's Play 2. And yeah, interestingly enough, this is the one movie where it ends with Child's Play from United Artists. Yeah, I bet Charles Chaplin and Buster Keaton and Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks would have loved this movie, don't you think? So much they probably would have looked forward to the sequel. Putting in Child's Play 2 right now. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is not my favorite Child's Play movie. I mean, to a lot of people it is, and I have nothing but love and respect for them. Because here again, I love every movie in this franchise. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing every movie in this franchise. Because, I mean, pretty much every Halloween from now until I die, I will be watching the Child's Play films every October. Every October. All right, let's get back on the screen here. Just had to get another Yingling. Okay. Yes, Child's Play 2 is king. To so many Chucky fans, Child's Play 2 is king. I've always enjoyed the first Child's Play, but I've never ventured into the sequels. Oh, well, Cliff, yeah, we're going to have some fun. I mean, this is going to be a journey that I'm very much looking forward to, because even though I've only seen all these films back to back only once, this is really going to be the first time that I look at this franchise as a whole and watch all these films. Oh, shit. That was stupid. But we still have another minute here, so I just accidentally hit the wrong button. Yeah. Now, I will say that Child's Play 2 has my favorite opening of the franchise, and I will explain in a second here. Let's see. Got to check out part 2, Cliff. It is absolutely fantastic, yes. And I will for sure now. The sequels somehow escape my attention. Well, there's 7 of them, and we're going to get through them every Saturday night. So now for Child's Play 2, I'm going to be paused at the black and white Universal logo, which I will explain here in a minute. Okay, I'm officially paused at the very first second for Child's Play 2. I will give everybody 2 minutes. I'll give everybody 2 minutes to sync up to Child's Play 2. Now, okay, the interesting thing about Child's Play 2 is that it was released by Universal Pictures. The rights basically got converted, and like the Halloween franchise, the first film was from another company. Halloween was an independent film, while of course Child's Play was with United Artists of all studios. Here again, the studio founded by Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, and Douglas Fairbanks. Anyway, for Child's Play 2 in 1990, we go to Universal Pictures, who released pretty much every film in the franchise except for 2, three of them. The first Child's Play and the remake, which are both United Artists, and finally Seed of Chucky, which was released by Rogue Pictures. And like I said, we'll get to Seed of Chucky. You know, we'll get to Seed of Chucky. I mean, but you know, I'm going to be ready to talk about that one. Oh yes. But anyway, the opening to Child's Play 2 is actually wonderful because this was the 75th anniversary of Universal Pictures. When they started out in the 1920s, they had this very, very early logo of just a tiny plane going around a globe. And they did a variant of that, of the globe logo or Earth logo, all throughout the years. And they show different shots of those logos, 4 of them, if I'm not mistaken, to open up all the films in 1990. They did it for Back to the Future 3. They did it for Kindergarten Cop. They did it for many, pretty much all their films in 1990. They released with this very special 75th anniversary logo. Now, okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Lost River Drive-In. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. So I think on the count of 5, we will go ahead and start Child's Play 2. Yes. Okay. On the count of 5, hopefully everybody is ready to go out there. You should see in front of you a plane about to go by a black and white globe. Okay. On the count of 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play. And I love the music that plays behind this succession of logos. You know, there's the Universal logo from the 40s. This is the one from the 80s that a lot of people was familiar with, owned by MCA. And here we have the first glimpse back in 1990 of their brand new logo. And they have utilized another logo since then. They only used this logo for maybe 6 or 7 years before they redid it. And the new logo, it has basically a diagonal, a different angle of how the logo, how the word Universal wraps around the around the Earth. So, at any rate, so yeah, David Kirshner production. Now, as I said, well, okay, this film was directed by John Lafia, who co-wrote the first movie. Now, I will say first and foremost that I completely and utterly understand why this is considered the #1 film of most Chucky fans. I completely see it. It's very well made. I mean, the budget is significantly higher on this movie. The budget has been upped. The colors, the colors, which remind me of how vivid and bright they were back in, like, you know, 1960s, 1970s, like Fox movies almost. Yeah, Child's Play 2 with the 2 scratched across the logo there. Almost like a vicious paintbrush. Alex Vincent is given top billing this time. All right. So, but yeah, I mean, the colors are richer. The way the film is shot, nothing to complain about whatsoever. I love some of the high angles, a lot of the low angles, and those will all come into play for the epic climax. And yeah, the climax in the Toy Factory of this movie is epic. It is absolutely epic. And it's part of the reason why a lot of people love Child's Play 2. I don't think the second act is very strong. And that is just me. That is just me. And here again, the other thing that bothers me about this is how they write off the Chris Sarandon and Catherine Hicks characters from the first movie. That bothers me as well. Now, outside of that, though, there's still so much to love about Child's Play 2. So much to love. Chucky designed and engineered by Kevin Yager. Yes, 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 indeed. Great music by Graham Revell. As we see Chucky being put back together. So here again, you have to overcome the idea that, okay, Chucky, you know, we bring him back for another movie. It almost doesn't matter. I mean, in this film, okay, we see Chucky being put all back together again. And I guess whatever was left in, oh, here the batteries come in. So I guess this is the first time that Chucky is wearing batteries. I like how the close up of the shoe tying. I really like that too. And of course, the giant. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, what stands out with Child's Play 2 is the classroom scenes later on, as well as the good guy factory, which we see right here, which makes all these toys. Don Mancini is given full credit on the script for this one. So, yeah, I mean, there were some rewrites with the first movie, and I hate to say it off the top of my head. I can't remember what the original idea was. I've listened to the commentary for for the first movie before, and I will say, I mean, and then I mean, I don't want to talk about the first movie a lot here because, well, we already watched it and I already commented on it. But I will say, if you want to own the Child's Play franchise, the best way to go about that, if you're a hardcore fan, is first pick up this Universal set, which has all 7 movies, not including the remake. And yes, there are bonus features for most of the films, not all of the films. But if you are a true Chucky fan, you will also want to pick up a Scream Factory Collector's Edition release of the original, as well as the MGM UA release for the remake, which of course is not part of that Universal collection, because Universal now pretty much owns the rights to Chucky, to Chucky, not necessarily to Child's Play, the title. And that's why MGM was able to get away with doing a remake in 2019, which of course we'll get to at the end of the month. But at any rate, so in Child's Play 2, oh, I like the tattoo on his arm there. In Child's Play 2, we of course rejuvenate Chucky from his burned, crisp state as he was. I guess. I mean, I think this is either the pretty much the next day. Oh, I should put the subtitles on. I can't believe I didn't do that yet. Putting the eyes in here. And okay, the white-haired gentleman, he's going to come back in Child's Play 3. He's essentially the head of the Play Pal toy factory. And here we catch up with Andy Barclay. Now, I will say that I do think that his performance in this movie is even better than the first movie. I mean, he's obviously very experienced and he's been through this before, but this is the last time that he appears as Alex Vincent, is his name, yeah, that he appears as a child, because while the character is going to come back in Child's Play 3, and the actor himself is going to reprise the role in another film later down the road, which I'm not going to spoil at the moment, this is the last time that we see Andy as a child. So they take advantage of the whole idea from the first film was, this doll is terrorizing this kid because he needs to put his soul into it or transfer his soul before he becomes just a human kid or a doll, from the doll state, whatever. Little tips. I've been enjoying my beer, so don't mind me. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they put a lot more emphasis on color in this movie. I mean, just all the Crayola, different rainbow spectrum of colors is all over this movie. Although, funnily enough, the overalls on Chucky look a little more faded than they were before. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Stick it up your ass. Now to be all the effects in this movie, all the Chucky effects are the same effects that they used before, although they do not bring Ed Gale back. We do not have any more shots of a little person portraying Chucky in this movie. Okay, now this is Grace Zabriskie, who's been in many, many movies. I recently saw her actually in the Twin Peaks series, where she played the mother uh, of the victim, played by Cheryl Lee in that movie. But I mean, she's done a lot more movies. I mean, obviously, this is just another one in her resume. I mean, I was going to bring that up just real quick here. One of my favorite movies that she's in is, of course, Officer and the Gentleman, where she plays Deborah Winger's mother. That was one of her first films, along with Norma Ray. But she was also in David Lynch's Wild at Heart, The Water Dance, Drop Zone, and yeah, and she's still doing movies to this day. Now, Garrett Graham, here on the right. Now, this is interesting. I got to confess right now. Now, a lot of John Carpenter fans will cite Big Trouble in Little China as one of their favorite Kurt Russell movies, and I don't blame them. It's a great Kurt Russell movie, and it's a great John Carpenter movie, one of his best. That being said, it is not my favorite Kurt Russell movie. In a resume full of millions, many Kurt Russell movies I like. In 1980, he did a film directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Bob Gale called Used Cars. And Garrett Graham plays Kurt Russell's car salesman buddy, one of the other car salesmen. And the thing about his character was that he can't drive red cars because he's superstitious. I mean, near the end, they have to take a mile of cars from one dealership to another in Arizona. They have to go, he refuses to drive this car when he realizes there's red paint on it. So, of course, it's very ironic that in this movie, he's actually driving a red car with no issues whatsoever. If you have not seen Used Cars, it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Criminally underrated movie, and Garrett Graham is hilarious in Used Cars. Absolutely hilarious. Now, the lady who is playing his wife here is an actress with a completely different resume, and that is Jenny Agutter. Now, Jenny Agutter started out in 1971, or actually, no, she started out in the 60s, but the movie that made her famous was the 1971 film Walkabout, which is now considered an Australian classic. And I may do a commentary on that later this year. I haven't decided yet, because 1971 was the year which Australian cinema became recognizable, and it exploded with 3 films: Wake and Fright with Donald Pleasence, Walkabout with Jenny Agutter, and the other one, it's escaping me at the moment, but there is another film. Those 3 Australian films made Australian cinema. It just started everything. But after Walkabout, Jenny Agutter had also done movies called like Logan's Run, the 1977 version of The Man in the Iron Mask. She was nominated for a Saturn Award for An American Werewolf in London. And she was also in Sam Raimi's Darkman, gave a cameo in that in 1990 when Child's Play 2 came out. So, these are all actors with, here again, like in the original, they have distinguished reputations. I don't know, though. The thing is that as a couple, I just don't think, and maybe it's just because they play rather dull foster parents, that they just don't have the spark that Catherine Hicks and Chris Sarandon had in the original, at least from my point of view. I mean, as actors, they give the material everything they have, and they do a perfectly good job. I just don't like their characters as much. Now, of course, look, You know, they're going to eventually be victims to Chucky. So it's not like, okay. But, you know, like I said, this entire second act of this movie is a little bit of a slog for me. I can't help but say that. I mean, I love her. I'm sorry. Yeah. What is her name? Real quick. Oh, man. Horrible with names tonight. Christina Leese as Kyle. I love her. She and Alex Vincent, I think, make a good pair here. You know, Garrett Graham and Jenny Agutter, okay. I mean, you don't really sense any kind of previous relationship, I guess you could say. But you know, then again, I mean, their focus in this movie is to look after children. You know, it's almost irrelevant what their marriage is really like at this point. But they have a set series of rules that they obviously apply to foster children. I guess that's all we need from them. I mean, I remember, you know, Leonard Maltin, who liked the first Child's Play, gave this a 1.5 stars and basically dismissed them as like the foster couple of the month. I mean, you know, they're going to become victims. It's not really hugely important, especially to the franchise as a whole. And here again, I just don't care for their characters as much as the ones in the original. I just don't. It's just me, though. It's a personal thing. Now, Chucky's look is a little different here, too. I mean, they obviously did some upgrades. They obviously, and that's the thing. The effects in this movie are incredible. You know, they spent a nice amount of money. Universal wrote a nice little check. And oh man, do they get their money's worth with these effects? I mean, and here again, this is part of the reason why I understand why Child's Play 2 is beloved among Chucky fans. I totally get it. I totally get it. It's just not my personal favorite. It's like, oh, how dare you grab me there? throw me in the back seat of the car with all your junk. You know, I love how they do this in the rain, and that does look like real rain. Now, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about with the angles that are shot in this movie. As great as Tom Holland did with the original, I have to give it up to Mr. Lafia. I really do. I think that he directs this movie very, very well. And I think his angles and some of the shots that he does are just very impressive. I mean, considering the fact that let me look real quick and see if he actually directed anything before this. He only had one directing credit before this, which was a 1988 movie called The Blue Iguana, starring Dylan McDermott, Jessica Harper, and James Russo. And the plot is about a bounty hunter who is blackmailed into stopping the transfer of $20 million from a Mexican tax paradise into the United States. Okay. And didn't really do all that well. But, I mean, he also co-wrote the script. He did rewrites for the first Child's Play. And, of course, he did Child's Play 2. But horror fans will also recognize his name because he also directed Man's Best Friend, a really good little dog thriller with Ali Sheedy, as well as he directed several episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, Babylon 5, Ghost Stories, and The Dead Zone. So he's done his fair share of horror work. Oh, gold card. You know what? I'm actually glad that Chucky kills this guy. I mean, anybody that, you know, gloats that, oh, yeah, that's a gold card. You know, it's like, you know, whatever, man. You know, shove that back in your wallet. You know, I love this shot of the liquor sign and how it blinks, you know, everything. Here again, the colors and the angles in Child's Play 2 are insanely good. Insanely good. Here again, I prefer the story and the characters in the first movie. However, the effects and the camera angles and the lighting in Child's Play 2 are top notch. So, I mean, I can't deny that. I can't deny that. The interesting thing is when you watch all these films, from the first film to the eighth film, I mean, with me, I mean, the second act of Child's Play 2 was like the one dead spot in a way. I mean, yes, the school scene, which we're coming up to, is really good. I could have used another school scene or two, but I mean, um, keep going. And I do, I mean, the dialogue, and of course, all these movies, the Chucky dialogue is usually a highlight. I mean, and never like funny bad, but like, more often than not, legitimately funny. I mean, they always succeeded. Yeah. Now park this piece of shit. I mean, I love how, of course he's in this child-sized doll body, but of course he has, he spouts profanities like any serial killer probably would. He's Yeah, this is just great stuff. The effects, the colors, oh, that lightning and everything that, yeah, oh, it's so good. So good. Of course, he's begging for his life here. Bang, you're dead. Now, here again, the look is slightly different, and it's hard to say if I prefer the look in the original. I mean, it ultimately doesn't matter. Now, this reminds me of course, the first kill in the 1974 film Black Christmas, where one of the sorority girls gets a plastic bag over her head, and is killed by Billy the Killer, who we never see, by the way. Black Christmas is without a doubt one of my top three horror movies, and highly recommended, especially around the Christmas holidays. Now, see, it's just weird. We see pictures of them by themselves, but we don't see pictures of them as a couple. Did they get married just for tax reasons? Of course, Chucky has figured out how where Andy is, and of course, part of the streaker is that while he has the same goal as he does in the original film, which is to get inside Andy's body, this has a little bit of a twist in that he's also coming for revenge. I mean, it's almost, and that's the thing. It's almost like, well, we have to up the ante on terrorizing this kid. Very appropriately reading Grimm's fairy tale stories. Yeah. Hansel and Gretel did not reply, but followed their parents into the dark forest. And as a lot of people know, I mean, they run into a witch who wants to fatten up the kids and eat them. Yeah. uh, we just had a Hansel and Gretel movie a couple of years ago that I still haven't seen, but it's directed by Oz Perkins, the son of Anthony Perkins from the Psycho series, of course. But I heard good things about it. My mother used to sing to me. Yeah, I mean, I do kind of miss Catherine Hicks and Chris Sarandon at this point. I can't help but say that, and I'm probably going to lose another person in the chat because of that. But look, I mean, the thing is that, I mean, like, okay, this stuff is so good. I mean, it's just a little. The second act is such a stretch to me for some reason. I don't know. But then you see Chucky at the end of the stairs, and of course, you can't complain. Shit. Now, okay, it's interesting that we see two Chucky dolls this time, and it's called Child's Play 2. It's like with RoboCop 2, there were two, there were two RoboCops essentially. Well, now we have two Chuckies, or rather, two Chucky dolls. The other one is just named Tommy, which, oh, come on, he's not going to be part of the cult. I guess Tommy's not going to be part of the cult now, so I guess we're not going to see him in Cult of Chucky. But anybody who's in the chat, comment on Child's Play 2. Give me something more to talk about here, because I love the little shovel. I love that. Yeah, it's like a kid playing in the sandbox. But I mean, that's the thing is that I mean, I will probably appreciate Child's Play 2 more and more on every single viewing. So it's not like I mean, I can't dump on it in any way. I mean, yeah, I mean these foster parents and the way I don't know. Of course you didn't. When you see Garrett Graham in used cars, I mean, you just think, oh my God, this character is about a million degrees different. Because that movie, he was a womanizer, he was superstitious, so many things. The scenes with Alex Vincent and Christina Elise are pretty nice. I really like how their relationship develops over this movie, where they come to depend on each other. Well, yeah. I mean, in the first film, Chris Sarandon smoked all the time, and now you see, a teenager giving a cigarette to a kid. Okay, well, necessary, maybe. Well, I mean, look, they're bonding. I mean, that's the whole point is that they're bonding and they're going to have to depend on each other. You know what? I never noticed the flowers, behind the knees on her denim shorts. I never noticed those designs. Huh. Mr. Simpson is kind of grouchy. Uh, I just can't imagine what it would be like to be a foster kid. I can never imagine. I guess I was lucky that my parents actually stayed together without divorcing, but I don't know. It would just feel too awkward almost a lot of times to, you know, how do you know if you're actually going to bond with the parents? How do you know that you're actually going to get along with them? And it could end up in a total disaster. You never know. Yeah, here he's yeah, and he's been through hell. Um, I mean, that's the thing. They weren't around for the original film, so they really don't know the extent of what he went through. I mean, you have to rely on the fact that they read his file and that he believed that Chucky, the doll, actually tried to kill him and his mother and a police detective. And here they just kind of, you know, toss that aside and just say, well, still doesn't believe. Oh, the way they enhance the face. It's almost like with Gremlins 2, where you could tell the design uh, was upgraded to a significant. A nice callback to the original with the batteries here. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, even a shot like that shot of just the living room. I mean, very well done. Very well done in terms of camera setup and shot. Which here again, that's what primarily that and the effects. That's what gets me through to the third act because it's just it feels like it. I mean, this movie is 84 minutes long. It, it's 84 minutes long, and it feels just a tad longer than that. Just to give everybody an idea where I'm at here, we are officially at the 27 and 30-second mark. Yes, indeed, of Child's Play 2. Hmm. Now, the budget for this film was 13 million, so it got a little higher budget than the original, and it made 35 million, which wasn't quite as much as the first film. I'm actually a little surprised about that. I mean, but it did almost do just as well as the original. Not quite, but it almost did as well. Unlike the end of the last film where he was like burned to a crisp, here he's all brand new, brand spanking new. When we get to Frankenstein Chucky, as I like to dub him, I really like his unique look in those movies because he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't look genuinely creepy until he goes all out, and his face. When he finally reveals himself, and his face changes, and it becomes like an ugly kid's face in many ways, and it just I'm wondering how long he actually decided to sit there and just pretend to be. I mean, he probably only did it for like 10 minutes, but then again, that's not exactly relevant. Okay, so obviously, I mean, I think from this scene it shows that they have a pretty healthy little thing going still. I should eliminate any complaint I have for Child Play 2 from now on, I think, because here we get some good stuff. We do get some good stuff here. Yeah, see now these effects right here. Now, okay, like in the original where we see a knife above Andy's head, these scenes obviously upset a lot of people. Oh, and yeah, that's the thing. While the critics love the first Child's Play 2, they dumped all over it. They really did. The Child's Play 2 and 3 were, I think, more so 3 than 2, but these sequels were not very well liked at all by the critics. And, that's kind of understandable if you're not a horror fan and if you didn't like the original. But here again, they give audiences what they want. They put in more Chucky. They upgrade the doll. They do so many things right, especially on repeat viewings. I've noticed. And here again, we repeat the same notion that, of course, they don't believe him whatsoever, and that she actually tied him up, and of course, not believe that the doll is responsible at all. So throw him down in the basement, which probably hurts. Here again, I mean, the idea that if he actually does feel pain in that doll, that this probably really hurts. Oh, that's like John Wick going down the stairs. That is a very impressive, seamless shot right there. Very impressive. Okay, in this film, he actually shows he's bleeding. Okay, chalk that up. And of course, yeah, what he explains right here is that he's got to get out of that damn body. I mean, now now his goal is more so to get out of that body quickly because if he doesn't, then he's going to become a human kid, essentially. And here they're both going to different schools. Now, I mean, the school sequence is pretty cool. I mean, my father was a English teacher for 20 years, and of course, when I was a kid, I used to actually sit in on some of his high school classes, and I was only like 6 or 7. But I mean, it shows Andy in a different environment. It shows him in a completely different environment. than the original film, which was a Chicago high rise, and now he's basically in the suburbs. Very well done. We see Chucky's legs go up into the back of the bus there as we make our way to school, where very, very conveniently, well, not conveniently, because, okay, the way he traps Andy here is that he basically decides to write this profanity on his paper that the teacher is going to see, right? And of course, I mean, most often than not, and of course, every school is different, every teacher is different, but it's very convenient for Chucky that he stays in the classroom and doesn't go to the office. Just saying. Just saying. Oh, yeah. I need to double check. Who played this teacher again? Beth Grant as Miss Kettlewell. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she was. She's been yeah, she was in Rain Man. She was in White Sands, Speed. She actually played one of the passengers on Speed. If you remember, she was the passenger that got caught in the front door when she was trying to escape, and well, Dennis Hopper ignited the entrance underneath the bus, and her body literally went under and below and got run over. I'm glad I double checked that. Yeah, so she met a pretty grisly end in the movie Speed. Fuck you, bitch. Oh yeah. Yes. Great look right there. Great reaction. But here again, it's just a tad too convenient that that they both end up in the same room here. I mean, if you think about it, this was really a shot in the dark for Chucky. I mean, Chucky is lucky. He really is. What is it? If anybody can, oh, the pin on her, it says "Just Say No," and I'm assuming that's a nod to the "Just Say No" campaign, which the Reagans started in the 1980s. I mean, here again, Chucky must get really pissed off about being tossed in different places and just banging into different things when he's being carried around. He's like, "Oh, you're my next yeah, here's Chucky's next victim right here. Trust me. Trust me." Hmm. Very slow pan up to the door here. And luckily the door is locked as well. I mean, that's another thing that but of course Chucky he will get out of there eventually. Yeah, great high angle shot. All this is very good. I guess it's just the scenes in the house that don't really do much for me. I mean, I think the Chicago high rise apartment was I think just a more interesting setting. But here again, in Child's Play 2, we leave the house, so it's not like it's not like we have to stay in that house forever. The giant rulers behind her. Yeah. Andy, of course, made a very clever escape, and now, of course, the teacher is going to find out who Chucky is. The light bulb dangling in the closet reminds me of the dangling light bulb in Psycho, Universal Psycho. Okay, let me ask everybody in the chat. Do you think she meets a worse end here or in Speed? I'm just. I mean, Speed was pretty bad. Oh man. Very typical jump scare, I guess. But yeah. But yeah, the the way he comes out like that, and oh god, oh, okay. I mean, like, give him credit for, great. Okay, she falls into some desks. I mean, we have to make it a little. We have to make it a little exciting here. I mean, but on paper, that doesn't sound very exciting. I love the look of Chucky here, though, when he goes in on the teacher. Death by a ruler. I'm not sure that's ever happened in another horror movie. I mean, granted, in Student Bodies, we had the killer kill somebody with a paperclip. Oh, Chucky! Oh, here we go again. Here we go. Like, I guess at this point, I'm a little tired of adults not believing Andy. I'm just a little tired of it now. Of course, Garrett Graham, he probably shouldn't have owned the red car because he's going to become a victim here very soon. Open the door just to verify Chucky is still laying there in the exact same position, or is he? Is he in the exact same position? I don't think so. Then again, I mean, it's not like that would register in either of their brains because he didn't see where he fell, where Chucky fell, and of course the husband, it's like, oh no, he's right there at the bottom of the steps. It doesn't matter. So it works. It works. Interesting series of pictures. The thing is, you look at something like that. Okay, we're merely panning to another room, but it just feels it takes a little too long to get there. I mean, we see all these nice little pictures, which are not really relevant, but this really slow pan in this hallway. I just you couldn't have sped that up just a little bit. Just a little bit. This is an 84-minute movie. While I think the first film goes by at a clip, this one is just a tad sluggish to me. And just because of certain scenes like that. That's my biggest complaint about Child's Play 2. It takes a little too to get to the good stuff. The really good stuff, which is coming at the end. The really good stuff. And everyone out there, just to let you know, I'm officially at the 41-minute and 45-second mark. For anybody that wants to join in, we're pretty much about almost halfway through here. And of course, watching this entire franchise, it's going to be awesome when we catch these actors later on playing their characters again. I'm not going to say which film, but yeah, they're going to come about again eventually, and very much look forward to their return. Chucky's POV being utilized again as he grabs his weapon of choice, or oh. Oh, by God, even that tricked me. Andy's grabbing a weapon, not Chucky. And here again, I will say on a recent viewing, here again, I can understand completely why Child's Play 2 is at the top of people's Chucky rankings. Because of scenes like we just saw, where it subverts your expectations a little. Oh, is this Chucky? Oh no, this is actually Andy. and he's grabbing a weapon to go down there and take care of this doll once and for all. Now the only question is, where is he? Where is he hiding? Looking around, looking around. And here again, I mean, just I don't know why I'm so impatient with Child's Play 2, because I mean, every time I see it, the stuff I love about it, I love so much that it is enough for making me to forget how just the pace is just a little off here, I think. It doesn't have the pace of the original, in my opinion. It just doesn't. Yeah, pump that meat carver up so we can cut some doll here. Hmm. Anybody else still out there in the chat tonight? I hope I didn't lose everybody. Uh, yeah, I mean, forgive me. I knew that getting into the second movie was going to get to be a bit of a stretch, and I'm going to run out of things to say. But Child's Play 3 and Bride of Chucky, those are going to be different. Oh, I'm going to have a billion things to say on those. Here again, I mean, it's one of those instances where I really wish I had seen these first few films in the theater and have and absorbed the reactions to these films at the time. I really wish I could provide that personal experience, but unfortunately I can't. Here again, Child's Play 2 I saw years after the first Child's Play. Years. I mean, I'd seen the first Child's Play at least 5 or 6 times before I finally saw 2. And here again, it didn't meet my expectations, but over the years, multiple viewings have made me appreciate it much more. Oh man, here we go. Oh shit! You were thinking he was about to chew his ear there from. Oh, there he go. Yeah. Oh. We actually see Chucky bite Andy's ear. That's amazing. That's amazing. Why do I think that Mike Tyson loves this movie? Oh boy, caught red-handed. Put down the knife. We'll talk about like they're still under the impression that this kid is a serial killer himself. Like, wow. Yeah, I killed my mom's best friend and some random guy that I had no idea who it was. I mean, here again, it stretches it a little too far. But this is a pretty cool death, though. This is a really, really cool death when Garrett Graham finally gets it. How's it hanging, Phil? But here again, if only they had, if only Don Mancini, if he was a fan of used cars, he would have written in there, "See, this is what you get for driving a red car, buddy." No, I'm serious. You watch Used Cars, there is a shot of Garrett Graham. He is literally almost killed by a speeding car. That is not a joke. When that comes up during the commentary, the director says, "I cannot watch this. I have to look away." And Kurt Russell is just laughing his ass off the whole damn time. I can't emphasize enough. I mean, Garrett Graham is now gone, but My favorite Garrett Graham film is Used Cars. It's a comedy classic that needs to be seen by a lot more people. Seriously. Should have listened to him. Yep. Oh man. At any rate, I mean, I hope everyone out there who's watching this with me is enjoying it as well. It's going to be very interesting when we get to the other films later down the road because, oh, especially Bride of Chucky, because Bride of Chucky was the first one I saw in theaters. I'm going to have a trillion things to say about that one. I'm just not going to shut up through that one. This one, I mean, I do apologize for the pauses. I mean, here again, I mean, I just don't. The pace of this movie has just never quite worked for me. It's never quite worked. But that third act, though, oh, it's like child's play goodness in so many ways. He's still in the cellar. Yep. Mm. But I mean, Child's Play 2 establishes this great little, team aspect between excuse me, the foster daughter and the foster son. Here again, it gives it an angle that I like. Yeah. Chucky is going to. Okay, now, really? Okay, so she throws Chucky in the garbage can and then decides to have a cigarette on the swing. I mean, okay. I mean, just waiting, as bait almost to be to be taken over by Chucky. But here again, once they get in the car, oh man, that's when this film really revs up and goes to the next level. And the rest of Child's Play 2, I think, is just some of the best in the series of what we see and what we feel and what we experience. Oh, that's what happened to Tommy. Okay. And see, that's the thing. I mean, Chucky is just, he's going to be sitting in there the entire night in the garbage can. I mean, is he going to ever get up eventually? You would have thought when she's in the swing that he would have gotten up and got out of the can, right? Of course, he did. Yes. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Now, of course, he could be anywhere. He could be anywhere in the house. Who knows? Hmm. I can't wait to get out of this home setting. I can't wait to get out of there and go to the toy factory. I'm getting a little impatient almost at this point, but let's get to the toy factory. Let's get to the good stuff. Ah. Maybe not as cool as the knife in the first one, but look, it'll do. It'll do. It's good. Hopefully it'll serve its purpose here. Like I said, I mean, these commentaries are not brought to you by Yingling Beer. I just happen to love it so much, and I haven't had any in 5 6 months, and I'm thoroughly enjoying these. Thoroughly enjoying them. Death by a sewing machine. Yeah. I mean, yeah, for the most part, the kills in this movie I actually think are pretty cool. Um, I wish we saw more of the teacher being killed. And I mean, okay, for all the complaints that this movie got about a doll terrorizing a kid, you know, no kids get killed. All the kids survive in this movie. Uh, this is very psycho. Yeah, don't you guys think this is very, very Norma Bates from the original Psycho when she comes into the basement? You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this was a direct homage to that. It's literally the exact same shot. And in this case, it's actually kind of a cool thing. Oh, those effects. When that doll is going out of control on somebody, it's the candy corn of this series. It really is. It really is the candy corn. Oh, grab the knife before he does. Oh, darn. Should have been quicker than that. Should have been quicker. Mm. That's an acceptable jump scare. I mean, okay. Yeah. I mean, here again, when I first saw Child's Play 2, I didn't think a whole lot of it. I just thought it was kind of, eh. I don't care about the explanation for the adult characters from the first film. The second act really, really stretches out. But as soon as they are in the car and and he has her hostage with the knife, it's all great. It's all great stuff. The effects and the performances from this point out are wonderful. Just wonderful. This is a station wagon. even Charles Lee Ray has to agree. Yeah, the station wagon. You can't do much. He's like, you might as well let him get out. That's the thing about Chucky. He's not stupid. He knows exactly what to do, and he knows, when to be a doll and when not to be a doll. He knows, I mean, he's smarter. He's actually quite smart. He knows when to put on an act, and he knows when to just be stoic and silent like he is right now and staring out into space. Chucky. The look on Chucky's face. Oh no. Seemed this one bleeds. Wow. Oh yeah, honey. I meant to get that bleeding doll for Johnny Boy, but they just ran out over the holidays. It's too bad. Too bad. And that is number three, beer number three. I think I will save the rest of them for next time and try to um, talk over this third act of Child's Play 2, which is, here again, brilliant. Any and all complaints I have about Child's Play 2, the climax takes over. and they tend to drift away from my memory. Which here again, watching these movies in succession, this is a rare rough patch for me, a rare rough patch of watching this whole series. just shut up and drive before I kick your fucking teeth in. I was like, damn. No, she ain't gonna take that kind of threat. I kind of wish there was a little bit more reaction from Chucky's face than. I mean, we see that same reaction numerous times. I wish they had. I wish they had gone for another reaction or two for the Chucky faces. I think Chucky is at his best with his one-liners, and this film has its fair share. But here again, when we get into the sequels, oh man, do the one-liners go up and up and up. See, and that's an interesting question to ponder, because I mean these films, I think, really mix horror and comedy better than most other films or franchises. I mean, they just, with the exception of Seed, and we'll talk about Seed when we get there, but for the most part, a lot of them are able to juggle the horror and the humor. Maybe less so with Bride and Seed, but I mean, but these films, they know how to have the horror and the humor intertwined and mixed together, where one element doesn't overpower the other. Okay, and here we are. We're at approximately the 1 hour mark. We're approximately at the 1 hour mark of Child's Play 2, which means we have approximately 24 minutes to go. Like I said, short film, very short film, and yet it feels like it's 15 minutes longer to me. And like I said, that's only me. That's only me. I'm a rarity in this department because I love the whole series. I honestly do. But unlike a lot of other people, Child's Play is not in the top slot for me. There's just one too many things that bug me, and yet the experience is never ruined. It's never ruined. Amazing, isn't it? Yes! Great kill. Great kill. Oh my God. Amazing, isn't it? And the knife just goes right in the chest. We're going to have a little game of Chucky Says. Move your ass. Yes. Covered by by Xerox. Now, just to let everybody know, because I mean it's getting really late here. It's almost 1 a.m. on the East Coast, and I plan on basically ending the stream right when Child's Play 2, right when the end credits start. I'm going to retire just a tad early tonight. I mean, a lot of times I like to talk over the end credits and actually, you know, I mentioned certain things, but I mean, I'm a little tired, to be honest. And I assure everyone out there watching that I'm going to be a lot more animated and a lot more talkative over the rest of the franchise. Because here again, Child's Play 2, for all its positive qualities, there are a few small aspects that annoy me. I've already mentioned them. But like I said, when this third act starts, oh my God, does it explode into a fun factory. Just to look up real quick also. Yeah, see, the critical response was actually very mediocre for this film. I mean, it had a 40% approval rating if you go by Rotten Tomatoes, and of course, not all those reviews are from 1990. In 1990, the critics just dismissed this film. They said, "Oh, it's just more kids being terrorized. It's more of the same." Leonard Maltin gave it a star and a half and called it a virtual dead on arrival, and said that the only thing that saved it was the toy factory climax. No, I mean, there's a lot more to this film. There is a lot more, especially if you're a fan of the franchise. You know, as I just think it's just one step down from the original. Maybe a step and a half. Maybe a step and a half in terms of the good guy shoes. But yeah, I still dig it. I actually really still dig it. Chicago Sun Times truck. I'm wondering if this was kind of Don Mancini's way of saying thank you to Roger Ebert. I honestly would not be surprised if that was the case. See, that's never one frustrating thing about this Universal Blu-ray set is that Child's Play 2 and 3 have no extras. John Lafia didn't do a commentary. Jack Bender didn't do a commentary for Child's Play 3. There are no extras whatsoever. And for a film that is considered the favorite of the franchise, and that's the thing. We haven't even had a feature-length documentary on these films yet. It seems like that, with the series coming around the corner, and the series will be debuting on Sci-Fi on. Okay, I better double check. I don't want to screw this up. The Chucky TV series is going to premiere Tuesday night. All right. It's going to premiere Tuesday night on Sci-Fi and the USA Network. And I believe it's going to be streaming on Hulu. And that's where I will be watching it. Oh, and finally we get to this magnificent toy factory climax. Oh my God. All these good guy boxes. And yes, we see one box of the same, but there's something claustrophobic about this climax. There is something very claustrophobic and very just, I would not want to be there. I would certainly not want to be there. I mean, it's bad enough that the real Chucky has a knife, to Alex, threatening Alex Vincent unless he complies with another voodoo ceremony. But, imagine trying to escape from Chucky and you're in a toy factory where there's a billion good guy dolls, and he's not going to jump out of a box, granted, but at the same time, there's something about the effect of this movie. The way the smoke billows up over the toy factory itself. I mean, it's just Universal, look, I got to give Universal credit. They wrote a nice little check for this movie, and I do think for the most part the movie delivers, especially in this third act, because there's so much going on. There really is. Now, of course, we have to deal with this voodoo ritual again, but of course, as I said before, that it's kind of amusing that we deal with that in every single movie. So, and the boxes begin. Oh no, it didn't work. Yeah. Now, I'm sure this worked for a lot of people in terms of, oh my God, is he actually going to get away with it this time? No, not quite. Not quite. Yep. He's bleeding. That means that he will be in that doll forever. Yep. So I guess that only leaves one thing left, revenge, which is going to be killing Andy Barclay once and for all. Yep, spent too much time in this body. The hair, the way it's frizzing around, just, oh yeah, all this is good stuff. Yay! And see, here again, they become this team in the last third of the movie. See, okay, look, I mean, we see the same angry face on Chucky. I just kind of wish that we saw different variations of that. I just wish we saw different variations of that instead of just one angry Chucky face. Just me. Just me. This kind of reminds me of the climax in The Shining when they're yeah, I know I'm actually referencing The Shining. I'm not even a fan of it, but it does remind me of that. That's the thing. The Psycho reference was probably 100% deliberate, just because it's also Universal that we're talking about here. I mean, I'm not so sure that Don Mancini was inspired by The Shining for this climax. I don't think he was. Okay, now here we have the conveyor belts, which are put to exceptionally good use in this film. Safety first, guys. Safety first. I mean, if I was in Andy Barclay's position, I mean, see, that's the thing is that, you just want to get out of there. You want to get the hell out of that factory. And it's like, okay, is this going to be the only way out if you go up this conveyor belt? Maybe. I mean, maybe they will see a door eventually, but. Oh, no. Great close-up shot, too. Oh, no. Oh, my God. The doll just jumped out behind the conveyor belt. And oh, man, he's coming after him. He's coming after him. Oh, my God. Yes. Yeah, this climax is just badass. I love it. Love it. Despite all my complaints about Child's Play 2. And boo, yeah. Now, I mean, if this film had actually came out like last year, I mean, I bet a lot of people would think, well, are they doing a nod to 127 Hours with James Franco about the about the mountain climber that has to pull his arm out? He might die unless he sacrifices his hand. Now, see, okay, look, it actually suggests that he is genuinely in pain when he finally takes it off. There is blood. I don't know. In later films, I don't remember, and we'll worry about that when we get to them. If they actually drop that aspect a bit, I don't know. My memory may be screwing with me, but that's the thing, is that all of these films are distinctive enough that, yeah, I mean, they're distinctive enough, but at the same time, they still generally play by the same uh, rules, more or less. And the fact that Don Mancini pretty much wrote every single film, aside from the remake, you know, that means a lot as well in terms of this as a franchise. There's not many writers that can say they wrote 7 films in a series. Not many. But Don Mancini he's pulled it off. And I think there's supposed to be another Chucky movie with Brad Dourif and eventually, but of course the series is going to premiere on Tuesday, so we're going to know for sure how the series goes about. And like I said, I've heard very mixed stuff from my horror buds and also from other people that are very skeptical. But look, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm very much looking forward to it. If Brad's doing the voice, that's enough for me. But I mean, it will probably serve this franchise like Ash versus the Evil Dead serves that respective franchise. It probably will. It probably will. Oh, yeah. Danger overflow release valve. And here again, the clash of the colors, the green, the red, the yellow, the black. Very, very well done. Very well done. And here, of course, is Chucky with one hand and a knife in the other. Very evil, like Ash from Army of Darkness of all things. But I mean, this film was before Army of Darkness, where he has a weapon in place of his hand. You know what I'm saying? You know what? I'm absolutely convinced that Don Mancini was doing a nod to Psycho only because this was a Universal film. And he thought, oh, I mean, and of course, it kind of makes sense for those things to show up in scripts and films because it's almost like the screenwriter's way of gaining suit approval. I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Let's put it that way. Now this guy just kind of shows up out of nowhere, but I mean, okay, it gives an excuse for Chucky to do another kill, and a pretty cool one, I gotta say, with the eyes, yeah. Now the hair being put on all these dolls. I mean, we literally see from start to finish how they do create these dolls. I mean, you saw that opening montage in the beginning where they're putting Chucky back together again, essentially. And in this film, we actually see what it's like on the conveyor line with all of these Chuckies and good guy dolls. I mean, not Chuckies, just good guy dolls. But anyway, it's late. I'm sorry. Oh, a Frankensteinian version of Chucky there for sure. Oh no! Yeah, he actually pulled it off. Well, he almost did because now, of course, he's being. Oh, this is interesting because, of course, there was the sewing machine earlier. I guess that there was that sewing theme they had with this movie, and here he's going to do his final plea in front of Andy, like he did in the first one. I mean, different circumstances. Yeah, he gets the middle finger, like he did before. Yeah, this climax is pretty brilliant. It may be the best climax in the whole series. Very possibly so. I would be down to voting for that. That this is the best third act of the entire series. I would definitely put money down on that. Yeah. Because that's what distinguishes this movie. But here again, we gotta sit around in a house for 40 minutes almost with a less than likable foster couple. Or less likable in the adult characters in the original. That's what I mean. They're not bad. They're not bad. They're not bad people. They're not bad actors or characters. They don't work for me as Chris Sarandon and Catherine Hicks does in the original. They just don't work for me on that level. Oh, what a mess. What a total mess, Ooh. That's another thing about this movie. There's not a lot of gore. The interesting thing is there seems to be, I mean, yes, there is blood. I mean, yes, Chucky bleeds. And yes, we just saw that blood, but actually it's the icky stuff when he just like oozes into like a puddle. I mean, almost that's disgusting. Okay. I mean, that intimidates me more than the blood, actually. It's just seeing his his doll texture just completely bleh. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is this is pretty badass. A knife. Oh no. Huh? Oh. Now they don't give Andy a final line here. Like here again, I mean, in the original, there was that great line. This is the end, friend. Here he's just like pulls the lever. Okay, and he has to save his partner now. Don't let Kyle die. Don't let Kyle die. No. No, seriously. I do like these characters enough. I don't, of course I don't want to see him die. Oh, see, this is what I'm talking about right here. This alien, almost alien shit where, oh God, where see this total puddle of, you know, melted rubber. For some reason, the melted rubber disgusts me more than the blood in this movie, which is something to say. It really is. Ugh. Ugh. God. Oh no! Of course he's still alive. Yeah. And just like the original, he comes back to life at least 2 more times. So that we need a final last straw death. But it's pretty awesome. It is so awesome. Oh no! And he literally does look like a Cabbage Patch doll there. Oh God! And of course explodes into a pile of rubber bits. Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Ugh. But of course, as we know, Chucky isn't. He's briefly dead again. And we are going to see Chucky return in Child's Play 3, directed by Jack Bender, which came out less than a year after Child's Play 2. Universal released these movies within 8 months of each other, which is pretty impressive. I mean, and oddly enough, 3 doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel rushed for any reason, but here as the end credits start for, as the good guy thing says bye-bye, and there are the credits. Yeah. So that is 1990's Child's Play 2. Yeah. Considered, as I said, considered by many to be the zenith of the series. I'm in the minority when I say I'm not one of those guys. It's more in the middle for me. But at the same time, I still love it because I love this franchise. And here again, even this recent viewing of the movie, here again, I appreciated it even more. Okay, Ed Gale was actually one of the stuntmen. So, okay, they did bring him back. I am so sorry. I mean, they did actually bring back Ed Gale. But, first assistant camera by Zoran Veselik. Zoran Veselik was the man responsible for the effects in the first Superman movie, and in fact won an Academy Award for them. Oh, very interesting. So yeah, this is the credits for Child's Play 2. And I'll tell you all, right now, I am very much looking forward to. So join me next Saturday night, which will be October 16th at 10 p.m. And, Chucky Effects by Kevin Yager Productions. Next Saturday night on the 16th at 10 p.m., I will be doing audio commentaries for Child's Play 3 and Bride of Chucky. Bride of Chucky I saw in the theaters, so I'm very, very anxious to talk about that one. Very, very anxious. At any rate, I just want to thank everybody in the chat for again coming out for these 2 commentaries and listening to me talk about Child's Play and Chucky for the last 3 hours. Jamie, Lost River Drive-In, Cliff Booth, Brian Trash, Christian Hannah Horror, Daniel Shine, and Ben Grimm. And thank you all. Borderline 11, yes. John Walker as well. Thank you all for joining me for this for these 2 commentaries. And here again, next Saturday night on the 16th at 10 p.m. Please return back to my channel as I do Child's Play and Bride of Chucky. Until then, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. You all have a wonderful weekend. Take care.